Ron DeSantis is back in the news because he just signed a bill into law that restricts people from protesting outside of private residences. So Ron DeSantis signed a law banning protest outside of homes and called abortion protesters unruly mobs. So I want to read just a little bit of this story for you real quick so that you'll get the gist. So Governor Ron DeSantis signed a bill Monday that prohibited protest outside of Florida residences. The law, set to take effect in October, will allow protesters to disperse or be arrested. DeSantis cited the recent abortion protests outside the homes of Supreme Court justices. So this is Florida House Bill 1571, and essentially what DeSantis is doing here is saying, hey, there's a place to protest and a place not to protest. So what DeSantis is saying is what so many on the left will not say, and certainly these people who are protesting right now outside of the houses of Supreme Court justices, and that is this, that you have rights, but you do not have the right to infringe upon the rights of others. Now, I'm going to show you a clip real quick that kind of was eye-opening to me, but this is a protester that was protesting in Chevy Chase, Maryland, outside of the house of Kavanaugh, I believe, but certainly outside of the house of Roberts, and this is what she said.
You don't get to take away my bodily autonomy and enjoy your Saturday night at home. You can do one or the other.
Okay, so in other words, you don't have the right to enjoy a Saturday night with your family unless I tell you you can and unless you do what I say. So this is obviously very, very troubling, and this bill seems to be nothing more than common sense, which is kind of the second point here, right, is that decency should demand that we act a little better than this protester does, and decency should demand that we agree with this bill, but somehow I suspect that people won't. And I can't help but wonder if it doesn't signal that there is a decline in decency, maybe as we step away from Christianity. I'm just suggesting. But there seems to be certainly a social and moral decay going on right now where people think that it is right and legitimate and that you have the right to step into a private residence and even be outside of a private residence and protest. So troubling, needless to say. There's a slippery slope argument here, right? Like, just because I'm mad at somebody, I get to go drag a mob of people over to their house whenever I want to and stand outside of their house and protest them. Like, clearly there should be some stopgaps here. I hope we can unilaterally agree with that. But you can rest assured that those who probably just don't like DeSantis are going to turn this into a political thing as quickly as possible. And they're going to turn this into another attempt to redefine language. But I bet you can't guess how, right? Of course, Ron DeSantis is the great violator of free speech. So this new law that he's signed in Florida is going to be called, I could just guarantee you, it's going to be called a violation of the First Amendment. In fact, it already has been. So according to The Black Collective, a South Florida social justice organization focused on the economic power of black communities, issued a statement Monday calling the bill a follow-up to last year's anti-riot law and the violation of the First Amendment. The group, led by Francesca Menez, opposed the anti-picketing bill and others during this year's legislative session. And, quote, the right to peaceful protest is a bedrock American principle that should never be undermined. So right there, we see that the idea that you should have the right under the First Amendment to be able to protest outside of people's houses is nothing more than a dishonest attempt to try to grab a hold of a right that you should never have. Now, I would say, again, public decency should demand that we don't want that right, but the fact that we do want that right is not justification for that right. Because once again, your rights don't get to infringe upon the rights of other people. And I guess I'm diverging back to that second point about decency, but we're so interested in conversation about rights that we haven't broached the conversation of what right is. You know, we talk about our rights, but we don't talk about what is right. We don't have conversations about good and evil and morality anymore. Is that simply because we no longer have a standard by which we can judge what is moral and good and right anymore? Just suggesting, don't know the answer to that. Jesus. Did I mention the Bible? But suffice to say, As we move further into demanding our rights and further away from looking into what is right, I think there's some room for some conversation and discussion.
You can catch brand new episodes of Indie Thinker with Reed Huberman every Monday and weekly bonus episodes to keep you thinking throughout the week. But you have to subscribe and click the bell to be notified when new episodes drop. If you enjoy this content, make sure to like this video and share it with friends.